Hello, brothers and sisters. This is our Million Mom Movement Lunch and Learn. It's August 16th. We have our Lunch and Learns every third Wednesday of the month. And I'm on the Million Mom Movement Council now for the past 3 years, accompanied by my council and colleague, Naiva Flore in Hawaii. And Michelle Ricci will be on shortly. And Taz is actually traveling this summer with her daughter. So we are pivoting from the preordained topic of cats, cats, and we're focusing today on glyphosate, which is a really important topic. We are the activist arm inside the organic superfood company Purium, and today's topic is really to help you to understand the impact it has on our health. I'm super excited to be with you here today because we have a deep dive into this issue, and it's touched my life so much because when I had been, suffering from leaky gut all from my youth into my adulthood, I could never understand that its impact was the root cause. So I want to help you guys to discover the truth about glyphosate and to delve into its impact on our health and the environment. We'll also introduce the solution that helps glyphosate, which can detoxify from your body, called the biomedic. And we'll learn how this approach aims to support gut health, detoxification, and our body's own natural resilience against environmental issues. So I'm going to start by passing it over to Naiva, who will be sharing a really insightful video that's shareable for all of you. Naiva?
Thank you so much, Carmela. Thank you all for joining us today. We're going to watch a quick 2-minute video that is a great way to just kind of learn a little bit more about what is glyphosate, what is this big issue, and why we're talking about it today.
Glyphosate is a widely used and harmful herbicide used on crops and other plants to kill weeds. The chemical is very common and has been used a lot over time. Americans have applied 1.8 million tons of glyphosate since its introduction in 1974. Worldwide, 9.4 million tons of the chemical has been sprayed.
Hi, Mark Barden at Sandy Hook Promise here. When the gunman shot his way into Sandy Hook Elementary School on December 14th, 2012, he loaded his AR-15
Give me just a second.
with 30-round magazines so he could continue firing without having to change magazines. He fired up
Sprayed on fields. Globally, glyphosate use has risen almost 15-fold since Roundup-ready GMO crops were introduced. Though it is widely used, it isn't widely talked about in terms of its bad contributions to our immune systems. There's been very little discussion about the unsustainable overuse of toxic chemicals like glyphosate that are used to produce the food we eat every day, which have direct impact on our immune systems, thus leaving us exposed to attack by infectious diseases like COVID-19. Additionally, glyphosate causes non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Non-Hodgkin lymphoma is a lethal immune system cancer that was proven to be caused by glyphosate-based herbicides. Lymphoma affects the body's lymph system, which helps fight infections and some other diseases. This isn't the kind of effect you want the food you eat to have on your body. Additionally, there are misconceptions about this chemical. It was falsely claimed that glyphosate targets enzymes that can only be found in plants. However, this was proved wrong because, in fact, this vital enzyme can be found in people and pets and is critical to maintaining the immune system, digestion, and brain function. Finally, glyphosate damages microbiota. Exposure to glyphosate results to modification of the gut microbiota in early development. This bacteria that colonize our intestines helps control how our body responds to illness. These are healthy bacteria and are helpful to our immune systems. The effects of glyphosate on our immune systems cannot be ignored anymore. It is the perfect time for us to take stock of the world that was widely accepted before the COVID-19 pandemic. It is now time for a major change to support global immunity, and that change can be led by a glyphosate-free and pesticide-free food and farming system.
I'm gonna grab the link for you all here and share it. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but hopefully you got the information you needed and you can watch it on your own free will by saving that link. And back to you, Carmela.
Thanks, Neva. Okay, so this is a very important call for our community and just learning more about the resources available to us to educate people about its effects and its detriment. And I'm going to pull up this really great article and put it into the chat now. It's very research filled, which I found that I didn't even know some of these very specific statistics. So I'd like to share it with you. So this is from, okay. So this is from the Jeffrey Smith. It's a free module that you can get. So I just copied it from this Institute for, what is that name? IRT?
Institute for Responsible Technology.
Oh, thank you, Naiva. Okay, so this is from the Institute for Responsible Technology. Naiva had a membership to this course, and I looked deeper into it, and this is such a great article. So it's talking about interpreting the glyphosate levels in our food, knowing that glyphosate is sprayed on most GMOs, how tiny amounts can harm, how much is deemed safe, translating the measurements, what's the magic number of toxic in our food, and natural clean food and superior quality. So let's dive in. So interpreting the glyphosate levels in our food. So glyphosate is the main ingredient in Roundup, and it's the most popular herbicide in the world. So I like this one part where it talks about what is it? It's a chelator. It binds with minerals, making them unusable by the body. And we all understand how important minerals are for the body, as well as vitamins and fats. And so those important minerals are what blocks, and that's why it is considered a chelator. And it's an antibiotic. It preferentially kills beneficial gut bacteria rather than pathogenic forms, which is what antibiotics should be designed to be administered for. It's an endocrine disruptor. At medium doses, it can disrupt hormones, including the sex hormone balance, which is why you see a lot of issues these days. Mitochondrial toxin. It potentially damages the energy sources of our cells. It's a teratogen. It leads to birth defects. It's also probable human carcinogen, classified by the World Health Organization's top cancer committee. So even tiny amounts of glyphosate can cause harm. So let's talk about the amounts, because I know many of you understand what it is, but let's understand how much is considered toxic and what issues are happening. So glyphosate residue on food has damaging effects on health. Animal studies have shown that 1.1 parts per billion alters the gene function of over 400 genes in the liver and kidneys of rats and causes non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. 10 parts per billion shows toxic effects on the liver of fish. 700 parts per billion causes alterations of the kidneys and livers in rats. So what's deemed safe in the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, they have established the acceptable daily intake of glyphosate is at 1.75 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day. So for a 154-pound adult, this would be 123.83 mcg of glyphosate. They have been widely criticized for allowing far too much glyphosate in the American diet. For example, compared to the amount of glyphosate added to the drinking water that caused non-alcoholic fatty liver disease in rats, the EPA allows humans to consume 437,500 times more. Isn't that alarming how much they're allowing humans to consume, knowing that what is deemed safe? The ADI in Europe is only 1.3 mcg per kilogram of body weight, right? So ours is 1.75. So it's 1/6 of the US ADI. So we all do understand how when you go to Europe, you feel much better. Well, it's obvious because it's the amount of glyphosate that's missing from their normal diet daily. The Environmental Working Group set a benchmark of glyphosate intake for a child at 0.01 mcg per day. This is 1/100th of California's limits and 1/7,000th of the EPA's number. So it's still above the amount that caused non-fatty liver disease in rats. Okay, so the study in Mississippi found that 75% contamination in rain and air samples are found. So even though we might be avoiding it through our food, through organic food with purium or superfoods with purium, there's still contamination happening in our rain and air samples, which is why it's so important to have this biomedic in our daily life, morning and night, to prevent the bioaccumulation, including with the food. And in translating measurements, this parts per billion describes the concentration of the contaminant. So we often talk in the Million Mom movement about Cheerios, right? Cheerios has 1,125.3 parts per billion of glyphosate per kilogram of cereal. That means that 1.1253 micrograms of the glyphosate per kilogram of the cereal, and that serving is half a cup. So imagine when people are eating 2 bowls, right? How much glyphosate are you truly consuming? This is where we really have to understand daily this contaminant, how it's being brought in through our rain and air supply, and then through our food choices. So what is the magic number? If you eat 60 grams of food containing glyphosate, would you reach the EWG limit? If the food has 18 or 160 parts per billion or more of the herbicide, you definitely would. So 60 grams is about 3 servings of Originals Cheerios. That's half a cup. This product is so high in glyphosate, you would meet the daily limit if you just ate a few pieces. This is just giving you a perspective. So Honey Nut Cheerios has 670.2 parts per billion in a 3/4 cup serving. Kellogg's Crackling Oat Bran has a serving size of 3¾ cup and 49 grams. Wheaties, oh goodness, I haven't eaten any of these in years and years, and I don't know about any of you, but 3/4 of a cup is 27 grams. So this is all being sold on shelves right alongside the very few options that you have that are glyphosate free, maybe 1 or 2 options. So you can make better choices, and you will know that throughout the day, if you eat the choices of foods that have the glyphosate in them, what will it do to your body? It is an antibiotic. It prevents your body from balancing hormones. It's an endocrine disruptor. It chelates your ability to absorb minerals into your body. Like, this is all proof. It's all happening. So given that glyphosate is so high in certain brands of foods, you should avoid anything with any trace amounts of glyphosate. So we wanted to pivot to showing you, well, there was a video also, Neva. Did you want to share screen?
Oh, we're
Well,
gonna watch after you're done with this article.
Yeah, okay. So we did want to also share with you how to eat, how to shop, because this glyphosate is insidious. It's in so many things. The article called "The Poison in Our Daily Bread" is an article that goes through many of the popular brands in many different popular stores, and it shows how much glyphosate is in each of these different products and who carries them. So clean food and superior quality and what's natural. These are things we all search for when we go shopping every single day. But how can we truly be an educated consumer when we understand glyphosate? So a recent study conducted by GMO Free USA revealed a huge disparity in the advertising of popular restaurants and the results of testing for glyphosate residue and the amino methylphosphonic acid, a breakdown product of glyphosate. So that's also a byproduct. Food samples were taken from 15 restaurant chains and were selected from fast casual restaurant chains that report having clean or natural foods. So there were a total of 44 samples tested. These samples included items that were likely to contain trace glyphosate, such as oat-based and whole grain breads, as well as products that were not commonly thought to have been contaminated. So these results were startling. Some of the highest levels of glyphosate were found in whole grain bagels from companies that spend lots of marketing dollars on being 100% clean. 3 pizza chains were sampled and all tested positive. So more surprisingly, the results of the sampling of a popular brand of unsweetened iced tea tested positive too. Foods with no glyphosate detected included beef, chicken, egg, and sweet potato. So we really have to take a look at, let me show you this next link. It's a non-GMO shopping guide when you dine out. So I'm going to put that into the chat now too. And I hope that was it. Yep, GMO shopping guide. So how can we avoid GMOs and Roundup food? We've identified many reasons why GMO foods are unhealthy. However, which is basically most GMO foods, almost all are with glyphosate. So it's best if you see an option of non-GMO or organic, always choose organic. But however, it's important to understand that our recommendation is not to simply eat non-GMO. We've been tracking the negative effects of Roundup, and it's sprayed on many GMO and non-GMO plants around the world. However, to avoid both GMO and Roundup and other toxic pesticides, we recommend certified organic. And for dining out, the first question is, what oil do you cook with, right? We all know that if you use seed-based oil, canola oils, corn oils, they are likely GMO, so genetically modified if they're not organic. If so, ask if there's anything that's cooked without oil. So you can choose at home to choose not to cook with oil as well. If they say they cook in vegetable oil or margarine, it will almost always be soy, cottonseed, canola, or corn oil. If they have olive oil, be sure that it's not a blend. When you often see blends, that's something to look into and ask. Many restaurants blend canola and olive. There's another really great, where is it? Here we go. So protect your health by planning ahead. So take control of your dining experience by asking your server, like about the oils, but also request olive oil. Tip 3, say no to processed foods cooked with soy and corn derivatives. Avoid foods that contain soy flour, soy protein, soy lecithin, textured vegetable protein, corn meal, corn syrup, dextrose, maltodextrin, fructose, citric acid, and lactic acid. I'm going to put this into the group chat too. And this is for friends and family who you might be coaching. Tip 4, opt for dairy products from cows not treated with GM RBGH, recombinant bovine growth hormone, or just go for plant-based dairy. In US restaurants, you will likely have to avoid menu items with dairy unless the restaurant uses organic products. If you're dining outside the US, RBGH is not approved. Avoid genetically modified aspartame. Tip 5, commonly found in tabletop sweeteners like NutraSweet or Equal, Sweet and Low, if you remember that pink brand. Avoid them all. Okay, so I just wanted to wrap that up and pass it over to Naiva because she's going to show us a really great video that connects with our Poison in Our Daily Bread report that we've been sharing here in the Million Mom. Naiva?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carmela, for all the insightful information. We're going to share another video. This one really is great because it's from the Detox Project, the Poison in Our Daily Bread, glyphosate contamination, and it talks about the levels in our food, similar to what Carmela was just talking about.
I don't hear it, Neva. No, nothing yet. When we were playing it earlier, it did play the volume. Can you put it into the group chat and I can open it up? Oh, is this the one that maybe might be your membership video link? Yeah, please
Here.
put it to the group chat, the link.
I believe, yeah, just a second. Here's the link to the video. Let me see if I can figure out why it's not sharing. Oh, share sound. Okay, I see the button. Let me try that again. We'll just.
I got it here. Hold on just a moment. Thanks for your patience, guys. Oh,
Oh, am I sharing the screen now? I think I am.
you are. Mm-hmm.
So if you notice, some of those were actually non-GMO brands. And so it's important to know that even when it is non-GMO, it isn't always non-glyphosate. And so it's important to know what it is that we're shopping for. And that's part of why we wanted to share today about glyphosate and the issues that it has and how it's so pervasive in our everyday environment, in our food. And like Carmela said, it's in our air, it's in our water. We're literally inundated with it every single day of our lives, and we have to know how to choose better for ourselves and our families. Carmela, did you want to share anything else before we pivot to the video with Jeffrey Smith? I'm going to share a video with you all that I have access to through my membership with the Institute for Responsible Technology. And it will be a really insightful video. But before we go there, Carmela, do you have anything else to share?
Well, at the Million Mom Movement, we are always helping you to look at how to create a healthier lifestyle option. So definitely we want you to look at the Detox Project report, Poison in Our Daily Bread. I put it into the group chat if you have not yet already seen that report or have been sharing it out to your community. We really would love for you guys to look deeper into it. I just wanted to open it up because we have been doing our call to action utilizing the list here of the many products that have high levels of glyphosate in them. So the pre-harvest spraying is leading to the contamination of these healthy foods. So this list that Henry Rollins had created with a detox project says that more than half of the foods that they tested contain glyphosates. And it goes into the report. They tested 83 of the foods in major big box and grocery natural food stores. And let's go deeper, because we were talking in the other article with the glyphosate results, how about 18 to 128 parts per billion were not safe. So he's also talking specifically about how it's about 10 to 15% is deemed unhealthy for our consumption. And you can look here at this list. Well, here it says also from 1993 to 2016, glyphosate levels in humans have increased and by an alarming 1,208%. And I'm sure since 2016 to 2023, it's jumped a few hundred since then. And down below, is how you can see how many parts per billion, even foods that are carried within Whole Foods. So if you're looking in Whole Foods and you think you're eating whole wheat sandwich bread and it's non-GMO, it's really key to see that how much glyphosate is really contained in all of these different products. And if you're talking about 18 to 128 parts per billion being unsafe, look at these numbers. Yeah, and that's it. I wanted to pass it back to you, Neva.
Thank you so much for sharing that article. And yeah, like Carmela said, that's an article that we've been sharing about for a couple of years now. And we were doing our call to actions to those different companies via Instagram. And so if you feel really passionate about what we were doing with our calls to action, feel free to continue that movement. If there's certain stores that you shop at, go to their Instagram and bring that to the forefront. Let them know that you are part of the Million Mom movement and that you are concerned, and tag your team on it and have your team chime in on it. And we can all create activism around just educating ourselves and others around the effects of glyphosate, as well as where there's a ton of products that are sold with glyphosate, and letting the stores know that we want to vote with our dollar and we're concerned, and that we would like to see them be transparent and not purchase or sell things that contain this toxic ingredient. And so our voices can be heard loud and clear when we band together in activism, which is why I wanted to share this video from Jeffrey Smith, because he is at the forefront of activism against glyphosate. I bought his whole course. He's now talking about GMOs 2.0, which is a whole nother subject that we'll have to share about. But he has been working on this for years and years and years with the Institute for Responsible Technology, and really bringing this to the forefront. And we were lucky enough to have him at one of our Purium conferences in the past come and share about the effects that this has on our health and the environment and so many other things. And there are videos for that within our Vimeo channel for Purium. And we've also had a chance to share more about that throughout our different episodes here on the Million Mom Movement as well. So feel free to go find those recordings, watch them, share them. And I'm going to share this quick. It's a 10-minute video with Jeffrey Smith, and he's really going to give us some call to action as well as to how we can vote with our dollar. So stay tuned. I'm going to share this with you.
Where do we want to end up? That's a big question. And we have a rather daunting responsibility right now to make a decision. In January of 1999, Monsanto's consultant spilled the beans at a San Francisco conference and acknowledged how they had worked with the Monsanto executives as consultants. They asked the executives to describe their ideal world in 15 to 20 years, and the executives described a world in which 100% of all commercial seeds were genetically engineered and patented. And the consultant worked backwards from that goal to create the strategy and tactics to achieve it. A friend of mine who was at the conference said it was the most arrogant statement he had ever heard in his life, until the afternoon, when a white paper was circulated by another company projecting a 95% takeover of all commercial seeds within just 5 years. If they were on schedule, that means 2004. They did not anticipate that within 3 weeks, the gag order on a scientist in Europe would be lifted by an order of parliament, and that what he knew about the health dangers of GMOs would make it into headlines, and over 700 articles about GMOs, particularly about the safety of GMOs, would be released in the UK alone, and many others in Europe. Not in the United States, but in Europe. And that public awareness drove people to non-GMO preferences, which drove the food companies to non-GMO promises, and that has, at least temporarily, slowed down this schedule to replace nature. But they haven't stopped. They're still hoping and planning, not just to use all seeds as their basis for patents and making money, but the biotech industry now is going after everything with DNA. algae, fungi, bacteria, pets, fish, trees, everything with DNA. And with the new cheap gene editing techniques, it costs so little and there's so much promise of making a better world, they may end up replacing nature. So one version of our future is a world created by genetic engineers. And maybe it's not just one edited gene in a particular species, but then the next person comes and adds another one, and then the next person, the next person. And eventually it is so different, it does not resemble the initial natural species. And every time they genetic engineer, there's some surprise side effects, some mutations, some changes. Now, this is far more serious than nearly anything we are looking at on the planet. Because once you release these into the environment, there is no recall. You can't recall genetically modified mosquitoes from the environment or salmon from the ocean. You can't recall the pollen from genetically engineered corn that goes from one field to a non-GMO corn. The contamination of the gene pool is permanent. It lasts as long as the species. The only thing that lasts longer is extinction. And we're facing the possibility of a replaced nature. That's on the one hand. Now the good news. The good news is that in 1999, on February 16th, the gag order on Dr. Pustai was lifted. Dr. Arpad Pustai, the leading expert in his field, who was gagged for 7 months, unable to speak about the fact that he discovered that the process of genetic engineering is inherently unsafe. I remember interviewing him and I said, it's unsafe. And he goes, no, it's inherently unsafe. The very process of genetic engineering. He got the information out, and Europe closed its doors to GMOs. Not the policymakers, the food companies, because of consumer demand. So you see where the power lies. The European Commission is not anti-GMO. It's Nestle's and Unilever and Burger King and McDonald's that have banned GMOs in their ingredients. So we have the power to change those plans from replacing nature to protecting nature. This is our end game. To pass on to our children, our children's children, and all future generations the products of the billions of years of evolution, using appropriate technologies, not infant technologies that can create massive problems and whose most common side effect is surprise side effects, surprise results. Gambling with nature. Our understanding of the DNA is at such an infant stage, we're realizing that most of the fundamental assumptions used as the basis for safety claims for GMOs turn out to be untrue. Maybe sometime in the future, we can safely and predictably manipulate the DNA for the benefit of humans and the environment. Maybe someday we'll understand the language of the DNA, understand how it works as a symphony together and all the different laws of nature that are functioning, and can go in there and work with nature, but today is not that day. And yet, to justify investments and to justify getting return on investment and to beat the time that patents expire, companies are pushing these products out into the environment, pushing them into the marketplace, assuming that they must be safe because others have gone before them. And unfortunately, the others have released unsafe products, and we know that now. So what we are asking, what we are working for, is a world that you can walk down the aisles of the supermarket and feel confident that every single item is safe and clean and healthy and is created by people with our best interests in mind who understand the nature of nature. What we're looking for is protecting not just our food supply, not just the products that are sold, but the organisms, the species that are out there, protecting the nature of nature, so that all future generations will thank us instead of wringing their hands and possibly cursing us. There's a poem that sometimes makes me tear up. From someone who I'd met, and as he read it, it really struck me. And I'll paraphrase the sentence. I was woken up the other night by my great-great-grandchild, who asked me what I did when I found out. Well, what the Institute for Responsible Technology is doing, what we are doing, is responding to what we found out, is responding to the risks that genetic engineering poses to this and all future generations, to everyone who eats, to all living beings, to our entire gene pool, everything with DNA. Now, our attitude is the easiest way to affect change is where it's at home, with consumers who are consuming. If we can protect food, it'll change the political climate, it'll change the investment climate, the non-food products will be easier. And then the organisms like algae, bacteria, etc. It will take time to educate people about the dangers of releasing these dramatically altered organisms. But we're committed to doing that on your behalf, on the behalf of the organisms that have no voice. I would like to ask you to support us. How can you support us? First of all, by taking this very seriously in your own lives. So if you see a product on sale that comes from a GMO, don't buy it. Buy the non-GMO product that may be the same price normally, but now it's more expensive because the GMO product is on sale. Invest in the future. Put some of your philanthropy dollars into your purchase. Put some of your voting with dollars into the purchase of the products that you believe in, the vision of the products that you believe in. Protect nature. When you
So with that is where I wanted to bring you into how fortunate we are to have Purium, to be able to vote with our dollar, to be able to walk down the grocery store aisles and trust the ingredients, trust what they're doing for us, that they are testing everything and making sure that everything is non-GMO and not contaminated with glyphosate, and that we can help more people have access to this. And like Jeffrey Smith said, we can all vote with our dollars. When we go to the store, buy the organic option, buy the products that are not contaminated, because the more of us that stand up and vote in this way with our dollar, the more we're defunding those organizations and food companies that are creating these fake foods. And so it's really important that we vote with our dollar. It's really important that we help other people, educate other people about the toxic effects of glyphosate on our health and how we can make a bigger difference by helping ourselves and our family members and our friends out there to understand this issue and start to move the needle forward by being the activist, by voting with our dollar, and by making a difference in that way. And we also know that with Purium, we have the only tested, verified product to remove glyphosate from our system. And like Carmela was sharing, it has been evasive. It's everywhere, right? If you eat a bowl of Cheerios, if you grew up eating Cheerios, you most likely have glyphosate in your system. And it's really alarming because a lot of people that I share this with tell me, well, Cheerios is heart healthy. It's good for you. It says it right on the box. And even some of them think I'm buying non-GMO Cheerios. And just because it's non-GMO, as we saw in that food list that she shared from the Detox Project, just because it has a non-GMO label does not mean it's not contaminated with glyphosate. GMOs is an issue, which is a lot what Jeffrey Smith talks about as GMOs and the issues with GMOs and the gene editing, but that's not the only problem. It is the seeds that are created to withstand glyphosate. And then furthermore, there are other things that they spray with glyphosate as what they call a desiccant at the end, right before harvest, so that the green matter of the plant doesn't gum up the machines. And so even non-GMO foods can still contain glyphosate, and even some organic foods such as oats and wheat can contain glyphosate, and especially whole wheat breads. It's really alarming, but most whole wheat breads, most things made with wheat, corn, or soy have glyphosate contamination in it, even if it's at low levels. So this is all food for thought. And the other thing I wanted to highlight that he said was when that person had that dream about his great granddaughter, and she said, "What did you do when you found out?" Think about that. That brought chills to my skin. It brought tears to my eyes because it's so true. Each and every one of us, our future generations are the ones that are going to suffer the most from the decisions that we're making today. And so what are you going to do to make a difference? What are you going to do to change the trajectory of the future of food? And so I want to pass it back to you, Carmela. Thank you all so much for joining us today.
The answer to that, Naiva, is create permanent lasting change through our 90-day lifestyle. And it is the true path to glyphosate detoxification. It does take 90 days, and it starts with a ULT. So these ULT packs are the gateway for your lifestyle shift. And we have this in our lifestyle guide, which I love, the expectation within 90 days, what you can expect, because 74% of glyphosate can be removed from the gut microbiome of glyphosate. So keep going to 2 months, keep going to 90 days, and really see a true transformation of glyphosate detoxification in its totality. If you pair it with organic foods alongside our superfoods. So when we help you to embark on this new organic journey with the superfoods, it's far more easy than doing it alone with just eating organic or non-GMO. We know that this organic glyphosate solution, Biomedic, with the ULT lifestyle is the true path to supporting your health. And all of these things can be achieved when you take out glyphosate from your system. You alkalize your body with the superfoods, you cut cravings, you increase energy, you eliminate the toxins, burn fat, enhance mental clarity, reduce bloating, create healthier habits. And as the months go, it just accelerates to your own personal transformation, which we know that if you have bioaccumulated this toxic agrochemical for so long, there's so many diseases that have spawned from it. And we would love for people to see what it would feel like to be glyphosate free. So we meet tonight again with Dave Sandoval, our founder and formulator. He's going to be talking about sleep hygiene and the Apothecary product that's in our ULT. We would love to invite you to that. And he's going to share about how to cultivate healthier sleep habits and sleep hormones and sleep hygiene. And we're going to carry on that topic this Fierce Friday. And we'd love to have you join us there. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Naiva, for sharing on this topic of glyphosate. And please go out and share this with everyone you know.
Absolutely. And I'd love to just invite you to like, follow, and subscribe to all of our different avenues so you can become an active, productive member of the Million Mom movement, because each and every one of you here represents one of the million in our Million Mom movement. And so we want to encourage you to reach out to 10 people today and share this replay or share some of these links with them to help educate them about the effects of glyphosate and GMOs in our everyday environment, and to keep moving this movement forward. And you're welcome to like our Facebook page and join our group Million Mom Movement Official. You can also invite your community members into the Million Mom Movement Official so that they can see what our activism is like. They can have access to the replays as we post them in there. And please become an active, productive member of the Million Mom Movement Official group and add your stories in there, add your knowledge in there. As you find pertinent information that you feel like our community should know about, add it into the group so that way we can all have access to the information that you're passionate about and keep moving this movement forward and growing us till we're 1 million strong. You can also follow us on the Million Mom Movement Instagram channel, and you can be reposted there by using our hashtags or tagging us in your post or stories so that we can share your stories into our stories and really just create that ripple effect of sharing the message far and wide. So we invite you to get featured there. And then you can follow us on our Twitter page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know so many of you are always looking for the replays. This replay will be up in the next couple hours, and you'll have access to it to share far and wide. But there are so many replays on our YouTube channel. And so we invite you to go to the YouTube channel, find a few of the replays that you feel really passionate about, and share it with at least 10 people. And do this on a daily basis. Find a tool that we've created. We also have our Sad to Rad flip book, which is incredible about sharing about GMOs and about glyphosate and about the foods to choose, right? From the standard American diet to the radiantly activated diet, and what is like the good, better, best in our everyday choices. And so that one's incredible resource for you and for you to share with your community. And so you can find this replay and the links that we've shared today in our Million Mom Movement official group in just a couple hours or so. So I invite you to find all the resources there. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you this Friday for Fierce Friday. Aloha for now.